Well, hey there, and welcome to this book launch livecast. I'm Everett O'Keefe here from Ignite Press, and I am excited today. We're going to have fun with this interview as I'm going to be bringing you Emily Isbell, and she's going to talk about her new book, The 24/7 Solution, Proven Strategies for Home Care Business Leaders. This is going to be a kick. I think that you're going to get a lot out of our time together here. And so I'm just super glad you're here. Now, if you are watching this, feel free to participate in the chat. You can say hello, hi, cheer Emily on, ask questions, etc. And I will try to bring those to Emily's attention as we go forward. Now, here at Ignite Press, we specialize in helping people bring their messages to the market. And if you have a book that you have been working on, a manuscript you've been working on, or even one that's already been published and you're not excited about what it's doing for you, reach out to us. We'd be happy to sit down and meet with you and have a conversation and see what we can do to bring your book out and light a fire in your business and organization. So, but enough about me. Let's get to the main event. Emily, I would like to bring you on now. How are you doing? I think I heard you say it's been pretty overwhelming today.
It has very, very overwhelming. I don't care to say what I actually said, which it feels like I don't want to take credit away from the wedding day, but it feels like a wedding day with the positive emotions and just so many people reaching out with so much love and kindness and support.
Well, that is fantastic. And I think earlier you said it is it's like there's stress, but it's a positive stress. And I think you equating it to a wedding day, that kind of makes some sense. Yeah. Well, congratulations on your book. In fact, let me give people a glimpse of it, because right now the 24/7 solution is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. And we're running a special Kindle special of $1.99. So you can do that. Now, by the way, even if you don't normally read Kindle, you can get that deal. And there's a Kindle reader on every smartphone, every tablet, and even available for Mac and PC computers. So grab a copy. And if Kindle's not your jam, grab it anyway. It'll help with the launch, and grab the paperback as well. Whatever medium works best for you. All right, so Emily, tell us first, before we dive into your book, tell me more about you. I'd love for people to know more about your background.
Sure. So I worked in the home care industry. I actually started off as a caregiver when I was in college at 19 years old. And I want to keep this as short as possible, but also not cut any corners. When I was 19, as soon as I became a caregiver, I realized I couldn't believe this was a position, a job, a business that you could do. The fact that you could make a living helping seniors stay home and provide comfort to them and keep them safe at home was just a shock. And so whenever I learned about this, I actually left my first shift or first week of working and applied to try to start a home care business with the company I was working for, which was Home Instead. Keep in mind, I was 19. I had no money. I was a college student. I had debt more than I had money. And so, of course, that just went into file 13. I never heard back. I was not a viable candidate. But I went from there. I went to meet with the owner and basically asked him, how can I be you one day? How can I do what you're doing? And thanks to his advice and his mentorship, fast forward to 2020, working alongside him for many years, we oversaw 7 locations. It was 14 years, 7 locations serving seniors. And in 2020, COVID happened. And it wasn't, I was thankful that we could still provide care and be essential during that pandemic. But at the same time, I realized that I'd always had an entrepreneurial itch. I told the owner I worked with that I was going to give my notice to him, but I wasn't going to leave him until I was 45. That's when I was going to start my business venture, whatever it would be. So all that to say, COVID inspired me to realize I may not make it to 45, as horrible as that sounds to say nowadays, that we got through that pandemic. And that just kind of shifted me. And so I started my own business in 2021. And the whole point of the business is to try to help seniors and caregivers have a better experience from their home care provider. And so this book is helping those individuals as best as I can.
That's excellent. So, Emily, obviously you've amassed some wisdom throughout this career of yours in regards to home care. And when we first met, I remember you were sharing, the struggles and the challenges that come, and share with us some, because there's struggles obviously from the client standpoint, right? And also from the provider standpoint. You've encountered it. In fact, I think you've encountered them both, if I remember correctly. What kind of struggles and challenges do these people commonly encounter?
Well, I'll speak to the client side, the personal side. So another reason I wanted to write this book was the story my grandmother had. And to keep it short, she was going to work with a similar company as the one I worked with. It was different ownership as franchises. So it was a different owner, and they dropped the ball. They just dropped the ball. And then I encouraged my mother, who's managing that, to reach out to the independent home care provider, and they did a better job. They didn't fully drop the ball, but ultimately they didn't do the greatest job either. And it's just really unfortunate, the experience my grandmother had, really more so my mom and dad, and the fact that they couldn't trust the caregiver would be there that day. That was the biggest issue and challenge. There was other things too. And so what I do know, and in reflecting on all of that, what I do know is that none of those individuals wanted to be malicious. They're not trying to provide a bad service. The bottom line is they didn't have the organizational structure, the operational wisdom to know how to show up and be there for seniors and manage the many moving parts that the senior care industry requires you to manage. And so from the client side, I think there's a lot of owners who have good hearts. They got into this business because they care about seniors and they care about caregivers and doing a good service, but they don't have the structure and system in place to actually execute on it well. And a lot of owners, now to flip to the other side of this and talk about the owner side of it and operating it, they're burning the candle at both ends. And that's where the title came from. The 24/7 solution is inspired by my story when I was burning the candle at both ends, and in 2016 was ready to call it quits. And I can say now in hindsight, I had this aha moment, and it really did happen sort of overnight, but it was accumulation of many things that led to the moment where I realized I needed to do to fix it, and woke up and started making changes. And it all came back to leadership. It all came back to how I led my team and what the expectations I had of them to help me execute on the mission to help seniors and caregivers have a better experience, versus me trying to be the one that just solved all the problems. So, I'll turn it back over to you, Everett.
No, I think it's fantastic, because you clearly decided there was a point where you said, okay, I'm not just going to improve me and what I do in my organization, but you decided that you were going to also improve other people's organizations, so that impact would be just really far greater. What's that, and I've got to assume that the book is an extension of that, right? Because you can only touch so many people personally, right? You can only, your company, of course, you're helping other companies now. And so when did you decide to do the book? Like, when was it? Like, I'm curious, how far back was that you've said, I'm going to do this book? And then why really did you decide to do this?
I might get emotional. I think I realized today that I think it was inspired. I always wanted to write a book. Let me start there and say there's a part of me I love to read. And so writing a book was not outside of the possibilities for me one day. didn't know what it would be about necessarily, but I knew I like to read. And so it wasn't outside of possibility. But I think I kind of realized today that the inspiration of my grandmother's story, and just, I think the culmination of when she passed, is what led, see, I can't talk, led me to want to do this. It's just, I have some, I did not expect this, Everett.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I think I have guilt that I wasn't able to spend time with my grandma the way that I would have liked to. And not to say I never saw her. I definitely did, but she was a state away, and I was building these businesses and doing really well for a lot of seniors. And not to say we didn't have mistakes or had people not always happy with us. There's nothing perfect out there. But I did know that I was working very diligently to make sure people had a better experience with our care. And so I think when she passed, I think I just realized that happening and not being able to make up for the time I lost doing it for others and not doing it for her, just really made sure that I needed to do it for others, and help others. Now, even more so, I need to go beyond just the state that I'm in or the states that I'm serving. And so yeah, I did not expect to get emotional, Everett, but I realized that this morning, and thinking back to what was the final trigger. Now, to take away the emotion for a second, I also am an entrepreneur, own a business. I understand the business side and value of this type of guide for really, honestly, us as a business and for my team to use with clients as a tool. So it was also a very practical reason to try to help us have a foundation to pull from, a textbook, if you will, on what I did to develop the operations and the businesses and to help our clients in the future.
Oh. Wow, you got through it. Well done. No easy task. So Emily, I think it'd be helpful at this point for people to understand, when you say clients, in that case, you were talking about the business clients, the franchise clients, rather than the recipient of the services, the senior clients. So what types of things does your organization do for these companies?
Sure. So yes, thank you for that clarification. We consider our clients, it's home care owners, really, I think is one bucket to name, and then franchisors, home care franchisors. And so I want to say that about home care owners, because we're willing to work with people who are not part of a franchise system if they need the support. That's another reason for writing the book, is we spend our time targeting franchisors and franchisees. But if there's an independent home care who can benefit, just like the people who provided care to my grandmother, I wanted that to be out there to them too. So what we do, though,
they probably need the help more than anybody, right? Because
potentially,
they don't have the same support systems that are, that might be in place in a franchise environment. So gosh, I would think they would need you more than anybody.
Potentially, you're right. And so so on that note, I want to echo or speak to what you just said, because the thing about franchising, a lot of people don't know, is that a franchisor kind of has their hands tied on the amount of support they can offer too. And so that's something I faced as a franchisee, is some unfortunate scenarios where the franchisor, not out of ill will, would just say, use your best judgment. And we're calling them saying, we don't have best judgment, we need yours. And they couldn't say it. And it's because of the structure of a franchisee relationship. It's a legal reason. It makes sense. It's vicarious liability. They have joint employment issues. I don't need to bore everybody with that, but I recognize that gap. And so that's why I work with franchises, because I understand that unique relationship between a franchisee and a franchisor. And we can say, my team can say things directly. We can give best judgment based off experience, unlike the franchisor in a lot of cases.
That makes perfect sense, because the franchising organization can probably provide support in regards to branding and advertising and systems and things like that. But but don't want to get involved in some of those legal issues that you are touching on. And so I can see where you would be a critical piece for those organizations.
Exactly. Yeah. The people management piece is very difficult from a franchisor's chair because they don't want to ever put the entire franchise network at risk if they give advice about somebody needing to be written up or terminated. They just can't touch that. That's one example. There's a lot of other risky scenarios that home care providers can face just because of people working with people. We're definitely a people business. So to go back to your other question, so we work with franchisees, we work with independent home care owners, and we approach them on the franchise level similarly to the way that I approached the acquisitions we would take on when I was at Home Instead. And so I go in there, we provide a cumulative strategy session where we're looking at turning over every stone, trying to see opportunities they have in their businesses, make sure before we give any advice, we actually have a full understanding of their business, and then work on implementing the actual things they need to improve their hours of service, their care to their caregivers, and everything of that nature. That's on the franchise level or the home care owner level. Then on the franchisor level, there's a lot of different things we do. We support franchisor, the C-suite. We're consultants to them on things that worked from our franchise experience. We provide performance groups. We do this for independent home cares as well. Provide performance groups where we teach them what worked in my businesses and then help them hold each other accountable in a peer fashion. And so the franchisors will outsource that to us. There's so many things, Everett. I'm going to pause and just say we see a lot, and we pretty much will cater to what you need if you're in the home care industry.
Got it. Well, let's dive into some of the content of your book. One of the things that you talk about in your book is the importance of self-leadership. And can you touch on that a little bit?
I'm going to mention this now. Why not? I once saw Glennon Doyle do an interview, and she said the hard part wasn't over. Like she was frustrated by interviews because she already did the hard part of writing the book, and now interviews bring up those kind of questions where you're like, I can't remember exactly what I said about self-leadership. So I have to call out that I feel that pain now as an author.
I'm with you because half the time I can't remember the subtitles of my own books, and that's a real thing. And someone who's not an author will not relate to that. But I know that you talked about self-reflection and emotional intelligence, and the ultimate responsibility, in regards to where that leadership falls. And so those are the kind of thoughts, some of those ideas that were come to mind as I was thinking about that.
Yeah. So I just think we fail to see how much everything starts with us. It is so easy in people management, in working with people, so seniors and daughters of seniors, sons of seniors, family members, working with caregivers, to blame everything but ourselves. And I'm not trying to make a bunch of owners or operators be unnecessarily responsible. It's not that, but we have to recognize as leaders that we start with ourselves first, and we reflect, okay, if X happened, what could I have done maybe to prevent X? I couldn't prevent the fact that a caregiver didn't show to their assignment, to go back to that example from before. But I know it's possible. I've seen it happen. So what can I start doing as systems in place that can help protect that? And the lack of self-leadership, the lack of emotional intelligence around all that would be that you just stay stuck and you say, man, caregivers never show for their assignments, and it's going to happen. I'm just going to bank on it and not do anything to try to protect the senior at the end of the day. So there's that. There's a lot to self-leadership, but it's really being willing to look in the mirror and say, okay, that happened. What can I do differently next time to make it better?
Mm-hmm. All right. Excellent. You also in the book, you talk about a why-centered culture. Can you explain what a why-centered culture is?
Yeah. So their mission-driven culture is a common concept, believe made famous by Simon Sinek, maybe before him, but he made it more popular. And to me, I think it's missing a key piece. And the mission-driven is about the mission only. And I'm not saying it's missing it. I think we have an opportunity to expand on it. I should say. And so what I expand on is really getting back to the why. And you have to have the mission. You have to have your core purpose. That's also a missing piece a lot of times. And you have to have core values in your business, but you have to wrap that up in why. Why are you doing it? You, yourself, the leader, your team member, your employee might have a different why than you. And so for me, my story I talk about when I first started, as I mentioned, I was 19 and I didn't even know you could make a living doing something like this. So my why was people need to know about this. I mean, my neighbor Bessie did not have this because people didn't know about it when I was going to visit her as a young teenager. And so my mission, my why then was to spread the word. But I moved from Kentucky to Nashville. And when I came here, I realized a lot of people knew about it in this metro area. It wasn't so much a new concept. It still is in some capacities, but it wasn't entirely brand new. And so then I've realized my adjustment happened kind of organically. I started to pay attention to a lot of service providers who we would try to hire their past employees because they would do well in an interview, whatever the case might be. And then we would run a background and we couldn't. And so to me, that meant this potential employee actually worked for a service provider and didn't have a background that we considered healthy enough to send to a independent senior's home. And so I started to get motivated by, oh my gosh, we need people to know about our business because I don't want them to have a bad experience with other businesses who aren't doing their job to protect. And I don't even, again, I don't think it's malicious. I think it's a lack of systems and structures and accountabilities for their team members to even know that those things are happening. So I actually just completely lost my train of thought, but yeah.
So for the why-centered culture,
thank you.
Yeah. That's where we were. That's where we were
right
talking about.
Thank you. So the why center part is I was motivated by that why. Well, I never lost that. That was still true. Fast forward, though, there got to the point where we were at a larger capacity and I had leaders working underneath me and I was less involved with the conversations with family members about bad experiences they had with other providers. And I wasn't noticing people who couldn't be hired because of background. So I was less involved because I had leaders underneath me. And at that point, then my why just became to lead other people to also embrace that impact for seniors in the community. And so my why became being the best leader to those individuals and helping them rise as leaders. So I think why centered's about knowing your why and knowing it might need to evolve and not sticking necessarily to the old.
Okay, excellent. Is there, Emily, well, actually, let me take a break for a second and just remind people that the book right now is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. And you can grab the Kindle version on a launch price right now of $1.99. That's pretty hard to beat. So grab that and keep in mind that if you know anybody that is in a leadership role in a home care business, that this would be incredibly valuable for them, that it'll help advance their business and, quite frankly, their life and their peace of mind all at the same time, because it's not just about the bottom line, as Emily discovered in her journey. So please grab that today. So is there a part of your book that you would like to read for us, or is there a story that you would like to share? I know I'm putting you on the spot, making you do all this live. It's always fun.
I think actually I'll take, I thought about a quote earlier, but it doesn't fit as much right now. So what I would like to do is take a moment to say, it's not just the book that buyers are getting. People, when they purchase the book, it leads them throughout the whole process of the book. You are being instructed on how to implement these strategies and not just implement them from narrative, also given tools. And so the way the book is written is for you to read it, stop, and implement. And so you go to the website it takes you to, you can download the free tool and actually adapt it. You can edit it to your business, your logos, whatever you need to do, and make it work for your business. And so there's over 30 tools in it that my team and I have worked really hard to make available. And I just think I'm just really excited to share that, because I made the choice when I wrote this book not to hold anything back. I will say there's plenty of things that didn't make it into the book because we didn't need an encyclopedia set. I don't think anybody would read that. But I did try to make such a strong foundation of where to an A to Z on things to do in your business as a good starting point. And hopefully through the leadership lessons and some of the mindset shifts I hope that readers have as they read it, hopefully they can then make those moves and make tweaks in their business that they need to make without the book and without me and without the tools, because they've learned the mindset and the approach to do that.
Excellent. And Emily, what is, if people want to reach out to you and to your organization, what is the best way for people to do that?
Sure. The best way is our website, which is the 247solution.com. That's specific to this book, and that's where you'll find all these tools. I think that's the best place to go. Our company has a separate website, but really, I think if you go there, you'll find our page for the company as well. And if you're interested in actual one-on-one support in your franchise or position or your home care business, we're happy to help you.
All right. Excellent. Well, I tell you, congratulations again, Emily, on your book. It is absolutely beautiful. And it has been a joy from our team working with you. And we're grateful for trusting us with this, with this creation here that you've made. And we wish you the best of luck. It's going to be, it's going to be a fun ride with this book for sure.
Well, thank you, Everett. I need to make a plug that you guys have been so amazing. I joked one day that I hope that I haven't been difficult to work with, because I feel like I had to bug you so much. And you guys have your whole team have always been so responsive and kind, and like it wasn't an interference to their day. And it just meant a lot to have that support in this journey.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a blast working with clients like you. So that you make it easy. Let's just say it that way. So thank you. Well, congratulations again on your book, Emily. This is awesome, just an awesome time to see it, and especially the work that's come into it. And I know that you have a bunch of people around you supporting you on this journey. They've helped you in choosing your book cover. They've helped you in being test readers for your book. And they're helping you, right now with launching the book. And it's great to see that. And by the way, none of that would happen if you weren't a quality individual, if you weren't someone worthy of support. So I'm just going to give you some credit for that, because people don't often do that. All right. Congratulations again. Thank you again, Emily. And I'm going to take us out. So
thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on the Livecast, and make sure to pick up your copy of the book if you haven't already, and reach out to Emily at the 247solution.com. Did I get it right, Emily? Okay.
You got it right. All
right, great. And if we can help you with your book, reach out to us as well. You can find us at ignitepress.us. That's ignitepress.us. And there you can schedule a consultation directly with me to talk about your book and your thoughts. All right. Take care. Thank you for joining us.